So first thing you're going to do, now we're going to act like we're going through it. First thing you're going to do, computer comes on, I'm going to look at the site plan. And the reason I'm going to look at the site plan is I want to know what's going on. So this particular example, for one, it's bordered by streets on all sides. So I'd be intrigued to know what the street names were, because I'm sure they're going to show up in the program in some form. I note that this is the building area, so that's my size. I bet I can find some distances there, so I have a sense of how big things are. And a couple of key pieces of information. It says view, or maybe it says parking lot, or maybe it says, I don't know, whatever, pond or something. Those are things that are going to show up in the program somewhere. And so by just kind of scanning it, you get a quick sense. You know, maybe for just 3, 4, 5 seconds, you're going to kind of get an idea of what's going on, so that when you get to the program, you can know what you're going to do. So then, all right, the real thing, now you're really jumping in. You've taken a quick look. Now you're going to go to the program. You're going to read the whole program. You're also going to read the tips. The tips is another sheet. It's probably not going to have anything interesting. I always recommend reading it anyway. By the time you're doing that, you should have practiced this a few times. It's probably going to be exactly the same tips you've already seen before, but it's worth having that moment where you kind of go through it all, just to make sure, and make sure there's nothing unusual in there. So the main thing though is you're going to start going through the program, and you're going to start reading through the program, and you're going to have your system for taking notes. So you're going to start drawing your matrix, or whatever way that you're going to take your notes. You're going to practice that when you practice doing on one of the practice vignettes. You're going to practice how you take the notes, and you're going to go through each of these different line items, and you're going to start going through each of the different rooms as you move along. The key thing you're looking for, there's going to be a few specific things you're looking for, and then you're looking for anything that's unexpected, anything that you wouldn't just know right off the top. Like I said, there's actually plenty of time, but you want to move quickly when you're doing this. You want to have your system and really rip through it. So there's your starting off your system, you're going through, you read each of these notes. It says things like how tall the ceilings are, et cetera, and it's just sort of giving you the background information of what's going on. Then the sort of bread and butter here is each of the room names with a square footage size, so these are all the square footages, and then some kind of key piece of information about that room next to it, which is going to help you figure out which ones go on the first floor, which ones go on the second floor, what needs to be near what, et cetera, et cetera. And then, so this is showing you the first part. Here's the second part. And one of the things I'm looking for is, what's my big room? So I'm going to go back for a quick sec. If I scan through these first ones, those are the stairs, so those aren't the big room. We've got small rooms. 750, that's pretty big. So a children's reading room, you know, that's possible. That's probably not big enough. So we go back to the continuation of this list, and we start scanning through. Here we have a game room on this one for 1350. That's pretty big. We have a large meeting room. That's pretty big. Oh, but there we go. There's our 2,600 square foot multi-purpose room. That's going to be the room that we know we're going to have 2 egress doors out of. So it's going to be a double height space. It's going to have all of those specific things going on. So let's just check ourselves here. So it says view, so it means it's required to put an exterior window in. It has an 18-foot ceiling, which means it's the double height space. It has 2 exits like we thought, and it's on the first floor, obviously, because it's the double height space. So that right there, scanning through and finding that room, a lot of things are going to revolve around that one room. Then one quick thing you want to be careful of is you want to make sure when you go through the code that this is the only room that actually requires 2 exits. It's the only one that says it on the program, but they could say it in the code by saying something like any room that's 1,200 square feet or more needs to have 2 exits, at which point you'd have to have realized that that one would also need it. It's likely that it'll say it directly in the program, but you should scan for that because that's an easy trip up. And then, like I said, each of these rooms you can find, you know, if it came down to it and you were up to 10% off of those numbers, that's fine. But try to aim at those actual numbers. So there's a lot of information as you kind of scan through this, and a lot of little bits of information. Things like this small meeting room needs to be near the large meeting room. So, okay, where's the large meeting room? Well, you're going to find one thing or another is going to start relating these things together, and you have to piece it together to which goes on the first floor, which goes on the second floor, etc. All right, so looking at the code, after you've gone through the program, you've started taking your notes from the program, now you're taking your notes from the code. Again, you want to have your own system for it, and you should, by the time you actually do it, you should already know what the code is likely to be. What you're really doing is looking for unexpected, that's unexpected. There we go, put a little U there, sorry about that. Unexpected elements that seem out of place, right? Something that was different from the practice vignette that you did. And the reason for that is if it's something that's specific to that, it's probably likely something you're going to need to use. So you want to make sure you read through the code and really look for it.
Jonathan is asking, you can be only over 10%, correct? Not under? So he's asking, you can only be 10% over, not under.
No, I think you can be within 10% either way.
Okay.
Yeah. So the code all of those things that we just talked about are all written in here in various sort of odd ways about how they write things, because it's a little peculiar how it's all written. But you can get a sense of that by going through those on the practice exams, and it's all those issues that we just discussed.